We all crave validation. It's natural to want to impress. We want people to like us, to see us as special. This desire can be strong, especially in our younger years. Secondary school was a whirlwind of emotions. It was a time when everything felt intense and every small event seemed like the end of the world or the beginning of something magical. The hallways were always buzzing with energy, filled with laughter, gossip, and the occasional drama. It was in this chaotic environment that I found myself navigating the complexities of adolescence. I was awkward, figuring things out, trying to understand who I was and where I fit in. I often felt like an outsider watching from the sidelines as others seemed to effortlessly glide through social interactions. My shyness was a barrier, making it difficult for me to express myself or connect with others, and totally smitten with Wei Ting from my chemistry class. She was the kind of person who could light up a room just by walking into it. Every time she spoke, it was as if the world paused to listen. I found myself looking forward to chemistry class, not because of the subject, but because of her. She was smart, funny, and had the brightest smile I'd ever seen. Her laughter was infectious, and her kindness was evident in the way she treated everyone around her. She had this incredible ability to make people feel special, and I was no exception. Every interaction with her, no matter how brief, left me feeling elated. I wanted her to notice me. I would daydream about scenarios where we would have meaningful conversations, where she would see me for who I truly was. I tried to find subtle ways to get her attention, whether it was by answering a question in class, or by simply being in her line of sight. Not just as a classmate, but as someone special, someone worthy of her attention. I wanted to be more than just another face in the crowd. I wanted to stand out, to be someone she would remember. This desire drove me to come up with a plan, a way to make my feelings known. And so began my grand plan, one that would go down in my personal hall of fame for all the wrong reasons. I decided to make a grand gesture, something that would be impossible for her to ignore. I spent days planning, rehearsing, and psyching myself up for the big moment. Little did I know, my well-intentioned plan would turn into a memorable fiasco, one that still makes me cringe and laugh to this day. There was a school talent show coming up. It was the talk of the school, with everyone buzzing about who would participate and what kind of acts they would perform. Posters were plastered all over the hallways and the excitement was palpable. This was the event of the year, and everyone wanted to make a mark. Wei Ting loved music, so I decided to learn to play the guitar and perform a song. I had never played an instrument before, but I was determined. I borrowed an old guitar from a friend and started watching tutorial videos online. Every spare moment I had was spent strumming those strings, trying to make sense of the chords and melodies. I practiced day and night, my fingers aching. The tips of my fingers were raw and blistered, but I didn't care. I was driven by the thought of impressing Wei Ting. I imagined her smiling at me, her eyes lighting up with admiration. That image kept me going even when the going got tough. I even wrote a cheesy song dedicated to her, convinced it would sweep her off her feet. The lyrics were simple, but they came from the heart. I poured all my feelings into that song, hoping it would convey everything I felt for her. I practiced singing it over and over, trying to get the notes just right. The day of the talent show arrived. The auditorium was packed with students, teachers, and parents. The stage was set, and the atmosphere was electric. I could feel the anticipation in the air as everyone waited for the performances to begin. My heart was racing, and I could barely contain my excitement and nerves. I was a nervous wreck. Backstage, I could feel my hands shaking and my stomach churning. I tried to calm myself down, taking deep breaths and reminding myself why I was doing this. But the closer it got to my turn, the more anxious I became. I could hear the applause and cheers for the other performers, and it only made me more nervous. As I walked onto the stage, I could see Wei Ting in the audience. My heart pounded. She was sitting near the front, her eyes fixed on the stage. I felt a surge of adrenaline, and for a moment I believed I could do this. I took my place, adjusted the microphone, and looked out at the sea of faces. This was it, my moment. I started playing, my voice cracking under the pressure. The first few chords were shaky, and I could feel the sweat on my forehead. I tried to focus on the music, but my mind kept drifting to Wei Ting. I wanted so badly to impress her, but the more I thought about it, the more nervous I became. My fingers fumbled on the strings and my voice wavered. The performance was a disaster. I could see the confusion and concern on the faces of the audience. My voice cracked again, and I missed several chords. The song that I had worked so hard on was falling apart right in front of me. I felt a lump in my throat and tears welling up in my eyes. This was not how I had imagined it. I missed chords, my voice cracked even more, and the song, well, let's just say it didn't have the intended effect. I felt utterly defeated as I finished the song and quickly left the stage. The applause was polite but sparse, and I could barely look at Wei Ting. My grand gesture had gone horribly wrong, and I was left with nothing but embarrassment and regret. As I walked off the stage, my cheeks burned with shame. I had imagined cheers, maybe even a standing ovation. Instead, there was an awkward silence, followed by polite applause. I avoided eye contact with Wei Ting. I just wanted to disappear. The walk home that day was the longest of my life. The weight of my grand gesture, now a spectacular flop, was crushing. That night I couldn't sleep. I replayed the performance in my head, cringing with each remembered note. What was I thinking? Why did I think that was a good idea? The regret wasn't just about the embarrassing performance, it was deeper. I had pretended to be someone I wasn't, all for the sake of impressing a girl. And in doing so, I had made a fool of myself. Looking back, I realized my biggest mistake was trying to be someone I wasn't. I thought I needed a grand gesture to win Wei Ting's affection. What I should have done was just talk to her, be myself. Authenticity, however awkward or imperfect, is always better than a contrived facade. I learned this the hard way. The experience was a turning point. It made me realize that true connection comes from being genuine, not from trying to fit some idealized mold. I started focusing on being true to myself. I stopped trying to be someone I thought others would like and started embracing who I really was. It wasn't always easy, but it was liberating. The experience with Wei Ting and the talent show had a ripple effect on my other relationships. I became more comfortable being myself around my friends and family. I learned that true connection comes from a place of authenticity, not pretense. And that vulnerability, while scary, is the key to forming meaningful bonds. While the memory of that talent show still makes me cringe, I'm grateful for the lesson it taught me. It was a moment of vulnerability, standing on that stage, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. I remember the awkwardness, the stumbles, and the way my voice wavered. But in that moment I also felt a strange sense of liberation. It was as if, by exposing my imperfections, I was freeing myself from the chains of self-doubt. That experience, as uncomfortable as it was, became a pivotal point in my journey of self-discovery. It taught me the importance of authenticity, the power of vulnerability, and the courage it takes to be oneself. I started to understand that true strength lies not in perfection, but in the willingness to show our true selves, flaws and all. I began to see that every stumble, every mistake, was a step towards becoming more genuine, more real. Sharing my story with friends, I realized that we all have our own moments of doubt and fear, and that by opening up we create deeper connections with those around us. And the beauty of embracing our true selves, even the parts we often try to hide. I found solace in nature, where I could reflect on my journey and appreciate the growth that came from my struggles. Looking in the mirror, I saw not just the person I was, but the person I was becoming. Each day, I made a conscious effort to embrace my quirks, my imperfections, and to celebrate the unique individual I am. This newfound understanding brought a sense of peace and contentment that I had never experienced before. Even the awkward, messy parts. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, and it's in those moments of chaos that we often find our true selves. I learned to laugh at my mistakes, to find joy in the messiness of life. Whether it was a small mishap with friends or diving into a creative project that didn't go as planned, I embraced each experience with an open heart. These moments taught me resilience, adaptability, and the importance of maintaining a positive outlook, no matter the circumstances. It's a lesson I carry with me to this day. Every challenge, every setback, is an opportunity to learn and grow. I approach each day with determination and focus, knowing that the journey is just as important as the destination. Carrying a journal or a cherished photo reminds me of where I've been and the lessons I've learned along the way. These tangible reminders keep me grounded and motivated, helping me to stay true to myself and my values, because ultimately, it's in the messy, imperfect moments of our lives where we truly discover who we are and what we're capable of. Watching a sunset, I am reminded of the beauty that comes after the storm. Overcoming challenges like finishing a difficult hike fills me with a sense of accomplishment and pride. These experiences shape us, mold us, and reveal our true potential. Embracing the journey with all its ups and downs is what makes life truly meaningful and fulfilling.